Let's begin.
Ready? Welcome back to the Coruscant Nights podcast. Thank you for joining us here on this very pleasant night. My name is Cooper, and alongside me, as always, is Mark
Hello there.
and Jack.
Good day, everyone.
Come
And
on,
Jack
man.
has
You
got
got
a
to
great
do a famous
background.
line.
We got Jar Jar Binks joining us today, which is very fitting considering we're going to be talking about episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and this is going to begin a series of us kind of going over our thoughts on all of the Star Wars films. We've kind of done it with the series. We did it with Andor and Obi-Wan, and Jack did a video essay on Book of Boba Fett. And so we felt it was only right to start exploring the films because they are probably the most important part of the Star Wars media and genre. So we're
Most of
looking
them,
forward to
anyway.
that. Most of them, yeah. So it won't be every week. We'll have kind of other projects and other podcasts interweaving between them. And then obviously we have Ahsoka coming up in August. So that'll be taking up 8 weeks of our time. So whatever we don't get done, we'll have to wait. But we're going to talk about the Phantom Menace. And just actually, before we begin, I forgot to remind you guys, we do have social media. I say it every week: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Patreon. If you want to go follow us, you want more content, link is in Instagram bio for Patreon. But all other handles are at Coruscant Nights. Okay, so
And thank you to our two loyal
oh yes, of
patrons
course,
who
I
have
keep
been with
forgetting.
us
Yes,
this whole time.
I think it's been a while since I've actually mentioned that. But yes, thank you, Ben and Nikita, for your continued support as always.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, we do. Okay,
Certainly.
let's jump straight in. We're not going to talk about the plot because, I mean, we assume that you guys watching this have seen it already, but we're going to discuss likes and dislikes, and then I've got a couple of questions I'm going to throw to um, I'll throw to Mark and Jack here, and then I've also got a little game that you might enjoy participating in. So we'll get right in. Does anyone want to start with like a big like of the film, or do you want me to go?
I think since Cooper, you've come the most prepared for this film. I reckon you should start us off.
Okay. Do you want me to go like list them all, or do you want me to go?
I think best thing to do is we go through each of our positives. So you just go for
Okay.
the only positives that you have first, and then we'll rotate back around. Yeah.
All right. We'll do that. Okay. So I rewatched the film just before doing this because I wanted to be extra prepared. And the last time I watched The Phantom Menace was probably looking almost a year ago. And that's not because I dislike it. It's just I didn't find time to. But I definitely rewatching it this time can find the same positives and the same weaknesses. So
Honestly, I reckon it's been more than a year since I last watched this one.
I watched
okay,
it. I watched it probably like a month ago.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what we all say and what we can all remember. Because for Mark, if it's been over a year for you, then there might be some things you've not remembered. So we'll find out. First thing that I really liked, the action is top notch in this film. I think from the lightsaber fights to just even the blaster face-offs, the big battle on the Naboo fields with the droids and the Gungans. It's really good. It's epic. That's probably the word I would use to describe it. It's really epic. And I think obviously for a film that came out in 1999, it's really good. But in comparison to later films in the trilogy, it's probably not as higher quality. This point is probably going to trigger you guys and also everyone watching. Don't worry, it's not controversial. It's not controversial, don't worry. I just said, I was going to
What do you
say,
mean? We're filled with controversial opinions. That's what's
yeah,
so great
okay,
about us.
I know. Just okay, it's all right. You're not gonna hang up the call when I say
Are
this,
you
okay?
sure? You
I'm
sure?
positive. The politics are confusing but interesting.
They
It's
are very interesting.
very difficult to follow along at the start because they're throwing all these different terms at you: trade federation, taxation. Um, uh, I can't even think of anything else at the moment,
This
but
is confusing.
it's kind of a kind of continues throughout the film, and I just it's hard to keep track of it at first, but when it kind of gets interwoven with the story, it's kind of easier to follow along, and it's kind of what most of the plot is actually based about. It's about
It's very
trying
interesting,
to
isn't
get
it?
these negotiations going, and signing treaties, and yeah. So
Well,
I
luckily for those who find it confusing, in the near future, we are working on a politics of Star Wars video.
Yes.
It's in the
yes,
works.
nice plug, Mark.
I
Yeah.
think
So
I do think, however, though, adding on to that is it makes a lot more sense after watching Attack of the Clones. I think it's almost like they just expected everyone. I think George didn't understand that everyone's going into that having no idea about anything
yeah,
and just going straight into these weird Naboo trade routes and all this kind of stuff.
Trade
quite literally,
Federation.
Yeah,
quite
what's
literally.
happening? What,
The
why is there?
blockade. I feel like the blockade of Naboo isn't really like definitively stated that well in a way that the
Hmm.
viewer understands that the planet of Naboo is actually under a blockade.
Yeah. I also don't think it's very well signified in future Star Wars. Like that's a pretty big deal in
I mean,
terms
yeah,
of
it's what's
for the
essentially
future.
started the war.
Yeah,
It was,
yeah,
yeah.
because it's the separatists just saying, no, we're gonna make sure you can't trade. We're gonna make sure you can't do anything. So,
Just like the Spice Runners on Boba Fett.
definitely.
What a comparison.
These next points that I've got are very, very specific. And I'm kind of this first point. I don't know if you guys remember, but Obi-Wan does this high jump and then kicks out with both of his legs to kick droids. He does it twice in about 10 minutes and then doesn't do it for the rest of the film. I don't know why, I just love it.
You know what I
Wait,
love also is
yeah.
when he which one is it? Yeah, Obi-Wan and
I think I know what you're gonna say.
Force speed, and
Yeah.
and then Obi-Wan in the fight scene is just like it's just like
And that ability is never seen from again.
No,
unreal
very
George
funny.
Lucas things.
Very funny. I thought the droids were pretty cool in this film. Obviously, you don't get the iconic B1 battle droid voice, which is a shame from the Clone Wars, but it's definitely for the first half of the film, they're fairly involved, and they're pretty cool for an army of antagonists, I guess you could say. Another point before I get to my last point, which I think is going to surprise you guys. It's a very bright movie, and I had this as a positive negative because I don't know, when you look at it, it's a lot of greens, a lot of blues, and the only time it's not really bright is when it's kind of in the swamp and under in the Gunga City. So,
Or in
but just
space.
overall, and Naboo's a pretty like exquisite place, so it's going to be bright. But that's something I noticed. The
Hmm.
last thing I'm going to leave you guys with before I'll hand over to you, I have a feeling that I spotted the one and
Do you
only.
have a bad feeling about this?
I have a good feeling.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I spotted Keller and Beck in the background of a shot.
I've seen this thing. I've seen this thing on TikTok. No,
No, no.
no, I don't
So
believe.
hang on. My theory is it's either Ahmed Best, maybe just as a background
That's
character,
like, yeah.
or it's it's one of the stand-in, like it's like a stand-in actor or a stunt double actor.
Hmm.
I think it's pretty
So
obvious, actually. I think 20 years ago, George knew that Disney was going to buy it, and then he knew what they were going to do, and then so they're like, "We'll make the fans wait 20 years, and then they'll get to see
And
it."
see him be the one to save Grogu. Yep, that is
Yeah,
exactly,
yep.
exactly.
exactly.
So
Plan from the
Yeah,
start.
George
That's
knew
what
all
Disney
along. He
said.
knew all along.
yeah.
Yep.
So that's. Do you want to do my dislikes now, or do you want to hand it around?
I think we should hand it around. Keep
Yes,
Okay, all right.
I've just got
on.
one pretty much that I'd like to mention, if that's all right.
Yep.
First, my main one is it was the first one Cooper said about the action, the lightsaber duels in particular. It's just I think they're really great in this movie. Yeah, top notch lightsaber battles on
Iconic.
par with many of the others,
Yeah,
including Obi-Wan and Anakin had obviously was one of the best we've seen in episode 3, with all the emotional weight on it as well. But I mean, for the start of the prequels, I think it went off to a good start with the lightsaber duels.
I agree.
Okay.
Jack.
So I actually compared to you guys, I probably have some actually quite a few more positives.
That's good.
Um Also on the third, the same as you guys, I love the lightsaber battles. I this is kind of like a negative, but I'm just gonna mention it now because it's not like a major negative for like because you've already mentioned it, it's not for like
Mhm.
my negative list. But when you said lighting, I thought the lightsabers looked kind of funky when it was like lit
Yeah,
up in the bright light of
yeah.
the natural lighting of
It was
Naboo.
hard to see,
Mm, like
and
that green, I'm just picturing it. It just looked weird.
just in two moments in particular, the one on Tatooine with the sun in the background, and then also in the reactor chamber against the purple white streamy
Yeah, with Darth. Yeah,
plasma core thing.
yeah.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
Okay, so that's just a side note. My positives is obviously that fight scene with Darth Maul. I thought the music, and
Just about to say
The
that.
music.
Duel
yeah,
of
the most
Fates
choreo.
is one of the best things as well about this movie.
So good. It has one of the most iconic themes of all time, I could
Hmm.
say. And okay, another thing I like about it is the actual music name being Jewel of the Fates, which is literally like the fate of the young Annie. So I really do like that kind of alluding to this fight is a lot more than just bad guy versus good guy kind of thing. Like if Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon beat bested Darth Maul, then who knows what would have happened, you know.
Hmm.
I
And not
also
just the
thoroughly
name of the song as well, but even the lyrics in it. I can't remember exactly how it is now, but John Williams put a lot of thought into the lyrics in it, and it
yeah,
has a meaning for the movie itself. I
good.
encourage people to look into it.
Hmm. I agree completely. I also thoroughly enjoyed how it was the first movie of obviously because I did the originals first, that had actual like proper choreographed fight scenes. So I thought that like for an introduction to what we would see later in um Revenge of the Sith and everything, even Attack of the Clones, how it was like good introduction seeing a different style compared to the Luke swinging Luke and just the jabs from Obi-Wan against Darth.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like obviously that's choreographed in some formal way, just not fluent and as what you would picture like the height of the Jedi kind of being. Well, I guess they say the High Republic is that, but you know what I mean.
yeah.
Also, I don't know, you guys haven't mentioned this yet, but I thoroughly love the pod racing.
Oh yeah, I liked it as well.
Pod racing is sick. I thought that was one of the coolest scenes actually, and I was not a fan of Young Annie, which I'll get into, of course, when we do our negatives. But I love the pod racing. I thought it was great. I thought Sebulba and all them were actually like kind of. I was kind of scared of them when I was younger. I was like, oh, who is this? Who's this dude? I was like, I don't want to be near
He's
him.
dodgy,
Yeah, dodgy, like messing with like Anakin's thing. I was like,
sabotage,
what is this little dude? And
sabotaging with a child's pod racer.
and
If
then I loved even though I wasn't the biggest fan of young Annie, I loved kind of his backstory on like how he's grown up a slave and everything. And I also thoroughly enjoyed the Naboo guards and the starships, like the
oh yeah,
fighters,
Yeah.
the N1s, obviously, which we know later. But it's just the overall vibe of the film gave it kind of rich politics with also charismatic Jedi. I just really enjoyed like kind of seeing him be like kind of so chill and so taking out the battle droids so easily. It was just nice to see and refreshing, especially after if you're watching it through release order. So it's really good.
mm,
Thoroughly enjoyed those aspects.
very good. And just one quick note on the pod racing. I felt that that was probably the most detailed um, I've seen a scene in the film. Just even the close ups of the engines and the fire coming out the back and everything. I thought it was really detailed. So
Yes, the
uh,
detail in that was
credit
really,
to
really,
whoever was the
really cool
prop
to see.
designer.
Very
Yeah.
true. Very true.
Okay, we'll get into some dislikes now. I don't have too many specific ones. They're very general. As someone who likes world building, and I've mentioned this on the podcast plenty of times, I think it's pretty sad that we only get pretty much Naboo. We get a little bit of Coruscant, but it's really only the Jedi Temple. We get Naboo, and then we've been to Tatooine before, so we know about it. So there's not really anything new. This point again might trigger you. The Jedi suck in this film. I'm sorry to say, and by Jedi I mean the Jedi Council. They are
Oh,
just not at all with it. They're just Yoda, especially. I feel like he has such a character shift in this one in comparison to like even Revenge of the Sith. He's just doesn't seem to. He seems to be very dogmatic and loyal to this Jedi code and saying, "No, you can't train him. You've already got a Padawan. You can't do it." Whereas I feel like maybe it might have been the effect of the Clone Wars, but just he's very much changes that mindset in my opinion. He's not the pure Jedi anymore.
Yeah, to add to that, I think you're especially right with the Clone Wars bit because I actually agree with what they did here. I thought it was actually well thought out and how they made the Jedi be kind of narrow viewed and everything is because this movie, right, is like kind of the first instance where a Sith have appeared for like a long time.
Yeah.
They really haven't been challenged like even close to like a strong threat. Like, yeah, there's probably like pirates and there's like crooks everywhere, but they're nothing that compares to the Sith. So I
And
think
also, oh, sorry, you finish.
yeah, so I'll just finish. Yeah, it's more just, I think they were so like against all that stuff because they're like, we haven't needed this for the past like few hundreds of years. Why need it now kind of thing. But then the Clone Wars is like, well, damn, we actually got a war at our hand. Let's train as many people as we can. Let's get people out there with troops and everything kind of, I thought that was intentional. So I didn't hate the Jedi
Yeah,
bit.
and I just want to build on to what Jack said there, especially about like the narrow-mindedness and stuff, because that really leads into like episode 3 in particular, of like the corruption and everything that is supposedly happening with the Jedi and the Republic, and how they're not prepared for it, as Jack said, and it's eventually their own downfall,
Mm,
is that they don't even see the true threat in front of their
Mm.
faces the entire time.
yeah, so true.
Yeah. I just I don't think that, like what you guys are saying, it's just the narrow-mindedness and the inability to see anything else, unable to change their views. I don't know, it's just not for me. And I understand it's intentional, but yeah.
Oh, I just thought of another quick thing to mention, positive. Qui-Gon as a character, Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah, very
Just a
true.
Yeah, he
great
kind of
character.
challenges the views of the Jedi,
Yeah,
which is cool.
exactly. Yeah, the way because he's one of the only Jedi that some people call him a true Jedi because he's not getting all the studs in a Lego game, but but he's going with the beliefs of the Jedi and the spiritual sort of aspect and the prophecy as opposed to the political aspect and the militarized aspect and that sort of thing,
Mm,
and how he goes against the Jedi Council.
To be
yeah.
honest though, I agree with him being like kind of being what Jedi should be. But then if every Jedi was like that, then there won't be any rules or regulations. So you can never just have a free society where everyone wants to do what they want because then what? You're gonna have a Jedi Master with like four younglings or like four Padawans. It like there would be chaos and everything. So that's why they have those rules. It's just they're so narrow-minded that they don't try to adapt them as time progresses, kind of
Not
thing.
even specifically the Padawan thing, but just like how he understands the importance of the appearance of Darth Maul and the threat it poses,
That one.
and the significance of Anakin as well.
But I think that was I think that's what people were saying about the dodgy writing. Because if any Jedi would have been like, yeah, I think we saw a Sith, they would all should be like,
Yeah, it's true.
whoa.
Yeah,
Instead, they were like, are you sure? Like, what? He almost died. Of course he's sure.
Really.
nah, they don't believe it. They didn't see it happen.
They're just like, ah, it's just Qui-Gon.
That's so. Oh my God, that'd be funny if that actually happened.
Yeah,
That's like,
ah,
oh,
it's
it's
only
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon.
Better
It's
Qui-Gon
just
than any of
typical
us.
Qui-Gon going on a tangent like always.
Yeah,
Oh,
bloody
that is
Qui-Gon.
funny. That
He's
is
gone
funny.
something. He's on something. He always sees something. He always thinks something's there when it's not.
Yeah,
Too
so
many
true.
midichlorians in his system.
Yeah.
Don't mention the midichlorians.
No, well, I was
Is
going
that one
to
of your
actually.
negatives, Jack?
It's still creepers.
Um,
Let's go.
I'll fire through these last ones. I thought that the plot really lacked focus. The acting wasn't great by across the board. It wasn't fantastic. I don't even know who had the best performance.
Yeah, but all Star Wars has bad acting, so that's kind
Yeah,
of
I
like
know, but I'm just trying to think about.
Not all of it.
I think
I'll debate that.
you know who had the best acting? C-3PO. Did nothing wrong. Did nothing wrong, and was in it for like 2 minutes.
I think Darth Maul was pretty good, and Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon.
Nah, his one line was
I
a
didn't
bit
like
sus.
Qui-Gon.
Really? I thought he was good
Yeah, I
acting,
think
and
Qui-Gon.
even Ewan as Obi-Wan. I thought that was. I mean,
Oh,
it
he
wasn't
was.
as good as his other performances, but it was definitely good.
I think Qui-Gon was reinforced through Tales of the Jedi.
Yes,
I
100%.
think that
And
made him more
Dooku's.
interesting.
Yes,
But
100%.
I think Darth Maul's line delivery was not great for "At last we'll get our revenge." It was like, why is he whispering it? Like, there's no one
Yeah,
there. Like, it was. I thought it
quite
was.
literally.
Yeah.
literally. And that's actually a good segue into my final dislike.
Yeah.
I thought, and this is the best way I could describe it, the whole film, it was full of emotionless dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
How many
And that's
times did you
what we
see
call wooden
Jake
dialogue.
Lloyd, Natalie Portman, Liam Neeson delivering something important, looking like this and speaking in this
Exposition.
tone, and then Natalie Portman doing a weird smile at the end of every sentence? Like,
Are you an angel?
To be fair, she's meant to be like 17 or something.
Yeah, but that's still weird when the kid's 10.
Yeah, well, I don't mean that part. I mean like the smiling and everything.
just yeah. Anyway, that's all my dislikes. So, do you guys want to build off of that?
Go on, Mark. You're next.
No, you go. I haven't got a whole lot. It's kind
Oh, he
of
loves the
just
movie.
I'm
10 out of
just
10.
adding on to what you guys are saying pretty much. Like,
Yeah.
you know, there's a few like I'm not saying Jar Jar himself is a
Oh
negative, but
no.
he definitely contributes to the negatives.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to hate on the character or anything, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I can't help but think of that because I see your background.
I was gonna say, let's get into this guy.
Okay.
I think the reason why he was so poorly received is because they didn't expect such a
A comic
character
relief.
with no with no purpose for the story at all, just to entertain kids in a Star Wars movie was to be like ever like occur. So I think it was just poor timing and being the first movie after so many years having this guy in didn't really blend well with the audiences. But I actually don't think he's too bad. I think he's there for a reason for the kids, and I understand why. But he also doesn't affect the story that much, so I'm not going to complain about him. So
What are you talking about? He affects the story a huge amount. He's the one that gets
only the battle he
Palpatine.
like just accidentally takes out
He's the
some.
one that gets Palpatine in the emergency powers. He's Darth Jar Jar.
I'm not.
To
I'm
be
not.
fair,
I'm not
he is
doing
the
this.
one that gives the emergency powers.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
a
not doing
fact.
this. I'm not doing this. Okay. Negatives. All right. So lighting, as we said before, I agree with Cooper. The plot is horrendous. It's like they literally it felt like they struggled to like piece kind of like a full
Yeah.
beginning, rising conflict and then climax and then resolution, all that. It just felt like it was just like it wasn't just like a perfect kind of start, middle, finish.
Linear.
And I think when you watch it with it obviously in mind now with all the other rest of the films, it just has no. It doesn't really have much relevance. Is
Can I add something quickly? Sorry.
yeah, yeah, of course.
Just with I 100% understand what you mean
Hmm.
with like laying it out. I feel like that this film, more than any other Star Wars film, has the longest middle section ever.
Oh
The
yeah.
first 20 minutes goes by so quickly, and then it all happens in the last half an hour. So
Hmm.
there's a good 90 minutes of just nothingness, really.
Yeah,
Anyway, sorry, continue.
I agree completely. I think what so I know since it's the first one, I still don't. This movie feels like a fever dream in a way. Like it doesn't. It's just when I think of Star Wars movies, I don't think of Phantom Menace. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't come to mind because it's such like a mediocre film. With the only reason it feels like it was made for was just to introduce Anakin, because then in the next one they just time jump like completely. You know what I mean? Like they obviously just want to get to when he was in the, his Padawan kind of era. They didn't care about his training or anything, but it was just so long for the first episode of the franchise, mind you, at this point in time. It has, as you said, zero world building. They stay on like three places basically only. And if you watch it on its own without the other films, it's so
Pointless.
it's so boring. I was like, what is happening? This is not a film. Like, there's nothing that actually happens. Like, if you
I
watch it on its own,
agree
the start to
that
finish, they just blow up a space station. That's
Yeah,
basically.
quite literally.
I was like,
I,
with the Death Star, at least it had a threat. This feels like no threat. Even though it does in political ways, but
yeah. Well,
no
I
threat.
agree with you that it's a bit of a mediocre film, and but I don't know if I fully agree with both of your guys' contentions that the plot is, however you put it, very bad or whatever. I mean, it's not definitely nowhere near as good as any others, but I myself thought it was actually a pretty decent plot.
Reason?
Maybe that's because I find the political aspect more intriguing
Yeah,
than
but see,
you guys
I
and
love
most of the others.
I love the
But
politics, right? But I think the politics in Attack of the Clones was actually better with the Separatists and having
Yeah,
to.
well, they build up on it. Yeah,
I just think,
but I don't think it was like as bad as you make it out. Like there's still a lot happening, and the pod racing wasn't super important, but it did take up a decent amount time of the film. But there was always something happening that had relevance to the plot.
yeah, but only minor bits. That's what I'm trying. That's what we're trying to say. I think it's like it's not. If you're comparing it to the other films, which is what we're doing, basically, like it's an individual review, but we're reviewing them with our opinions, of course. And in my opinion, it's probably gonna be like the bottom three weakest plots of the entire saga. So,
Yes.
so it's not good in my opinion. Like it's probably aside from maybe obviously the Rise of Skywalker, it would go Rise of Skywalker being the worst plot. No, worst plot because how's Palpatine back? I can't wait to get to those movies. Then the Last Jedi, then this one. That's my bottom three plots. So it's the third worst plot in my opinion. So
Well, yeah, but Force Awakens is a copy of A New Hope.
yeah, but that means it just goes in the same hand in hand. So I don't mind.
Not really.
It doesn't come in. It
It's
doesn't
just
come in a lower.
plagiarism. They just copied the words,
Yeah, exactly. So
just
it's not as
changed the
good as
word.
the original, but it's not as bad as these ones. So because they played safe as hell. But I'll just finish up my negatives. So in all honesty, I just think I watched it recently. The whole underwater city, Naboo, uh, even Tatooine. It just felt so. I know it's meant to be realistic. I mean, no, unrealistic because it's.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
you
was going to say,
sure?
hang on a minute.
I'm
But
pretty
it just
sure the
felt
underwater
but
city is
like
realistic. What are you
no,
talking
no,
about?
no, just wait. I got it wrong way around. But then
Build
compared
him.
to the
Let him
other,
cook. Let him cook.
yeah, compared to the other movies, this one felt so like cheesy, just like poorly. Like I know the CGI is not great, but come on, like at least in some bits of Return of the Jedi and Empire, it just had kind of like real, but also science fiction. This just feels. I know he wanted to green screen everything and blue screen everything, but oh my, it's kind of hard to watch
That
visually.
is kind of, I do, yeah, I agree with that. There's
It's
a
a lot of
lot of
visual
special
clutter.
effects.
Visual
There's
clutter.
there's there's one scene in particular that I think this is probably really evident. It's when right towards the start of the film when they're jumping in the water and it's Jar Jar kind of splashing around in the water, and you can definitely tell that the water ripples are
Yeah,
CGI.
yeah,
It's funny.
it's kind of weird, but Mark, finish up on the negatives if you want to say any.
I think we pretty much covered most of them.
Mhm.
Um,
All right.
I thought there was
Well,
something I was about to say and I've just forgotten it.
and knowing Mark, when we start our next bit, he'll probably be like, "Oh, sorry, just
Oh,
going
sorry.
back."
Yeah.
I
Can we
won't.
just go back?
No, I won't do it.
All
All
right.
right. Let's do next.
Oh, wait, I
Um,
remembered. Nah, just kidding.
I want to go through some of the most iconic quotes from this because there was actually more.
Wait. Should we give an? I think because we actually haven't discussed this overall, just final 10 because we have to do this for every movie out of 10, and then eventually by the last one, guys, by number 9, we'll rank them like in a 1 to 9 thing and
Ooh.
tell
All
us.
right.
But for now, out of 10, Cooper first.
It's not going to be high score.
Yeah, same.
I remember. I can't believe this was my favorite movie once upon a time. It was. I loved it. I thought it was overhated.
6.4 for myself.
6.4. Oh, okay. I'm gonna give it because it does have some redeeming qualities. I'm gonna say 7 out of 10.
Well, we're going with even numbers, I think,
That's
with
No,
generous.
just do whatever. Do
full
whatever.
numbers. If we do
Generous.
decimals, we can add them up better.
7.1. There you go.
There we go, thanks.
Generous. I'm going 5
Yeah, that
point
is generous after all you've just said.
5
Wait,
point
I did 5.3.
because I'm thinking in the terms of all the other films, it's not great. It's bare
No,
average.
but you got to rank it as its own movie.
I know, but as a movie, it's average. And what's
Okay.
average? 5. 5 is
Five.
average.
What was it? 5 point what?
3.
5.3.
5.3.
I'm gonna make a note
It's
here
like
so we
if you
can
think
compare
about
them
it.
at the end.
But to be fair,
Mark,
though,
what was yours again?
6.4.
6.4. Okay,
but
done.
to be fair though, people call if someone calls a movie 5 out of 10, they go that's bad. But to be fair, that's average.
Average. Yeah.
So you guys have given it a
Well, it depends what you define as average. Do you find average as half, or do you find average as the average of what everyone says?
no, because it's not about everyone else. It's about a number. So technically, if
Well,
someone
yeah, if you
so
take
Cooper
the
gave it a
average of
7.
everyone's opinions. It might be
but
higher than 5.
But Cooper gave it a 7, right? That means above average, but obviously it's not the highest of the above average. So it's not like, you know what I mean? So I understand that. But then calling it a 5 is also not the worst thing. Like it could be
No, it's not. I agree.
it's still mediocre,
Yeah.
watchable, but not the best.
Mediocre is probably
Yeah.
a better term than average.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Because if you think about it, like the average for A New Hope would be like 8 or something,
Possibly. I mean, we'll get to that in a couple of
7
weeks.
or 8. But yeah, you're
Yeah, but
thinking
that's
mediocre.
IGN's. He's 7 this, 8 this.
What?
Nothing.
All
Let's continue.
right. Okay. Let's revisit some of the most iconic quotes from the movie because there are actually quite a lot.
There's always a bigger
Well,
fish.
well, there's some more iconic that I definitely didn't realize
You an
were in this
angel?
movie.
That's the thing I was gonna say earlier.
So you guys have already said 2. So, are you an angel? Which I made a comment saying ultimate Riz because that is literally the first words he says to Padme.
I think there's a foreshadow actually with that. I think I saw something about that. He calls her an angel, and then she dies somehow. I don't know. There's some metaphor with an angel and death, and I don't know. I
Probably,
watched
yeah, it
something.
makes sense. I'd say it makes sense.
Yeah, like first words were to her was like, "Are you an angel?" And then the rest, like she died. I don't know. There's some metaphor.
The story of Padme. She's called an angel and then dies.
Yeah,
Nice one,
She
Jack.
has no relevance throughout
Wait,
the rest
what
of
was it? Oh yeah, here's a good quote. Ready? Wizard.
Yeah, I remember that. That was Anakin's friend.
Wizard.
Yeah.
Oh, that was funny. There's always a bigger fish. You said that before, Jack.
No, I said that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Mark.
Oh, did you? Oh, sorry.
That's what
Sorry,
I was
I
gonna
must have
say
heard that wrong.
earlier when I forgot.
This wasn't Jar Jar, but I can't remember the guy's name who said it. It says Yusa in Big Doodoo.
This time.
Mm.
Yeah.
One of my personal favorites. Well, you were right about one thing, Master. The negotiations were short.
Sure. Yeah.
The negotiator.
We get the iconic fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering.
Mhm.
Obviously, I thought that came in Attack of the Clones for some reason.
There's another big one. I forgot it
Yeah.
though. I had it.
I think I might have it.
Mm.
Now this is pod racing.
That's it. That's the one. I was thinking on the pod racing ones.
And then we also get I'll try spinning. That's a good.
That's a cool trick.
Yeah.
The writers got paid probably hundreds of thousands of dollars to write that.
This movie is a comedy.
It's so funny.
Honestly a comedy fest. I love it. That was a great quote. I love it.
All right, I want to go into a little game, and then I'll finish with some questions for you guys. So this is I'm gonna go very basic with the name. It's called Who Has More Screen Time? I looked at the screen time for all the characters. You'll be very surprised about who got what. We're gonna compare them. So I've got 8 different comparisons.
Do
and
we?
we'll keep track.
You're gonna give us 2 and we pick for one or the other, or how
Yeah,
does it work?
Yes.
like higher or lower.
And then I'll tell you who has more.
Mm.
All right, let's start with one of the most prominent ones. Does Anakin or Padme have more screen time in this film?
Mark, go first, and then I'll say my opinion.
Just say one.
Anakin.
Padme.
Point to Mark.
Yeah. I
Anakin
nearly
is in
said
it
Padme.
for 23 minutes and 30 seconds. Padme only 21 minutes and 30
Oh, that's close. That is so
I know,
close.
that's why I did this.
I was
Okay.
thinking Padme because we were with her from like the start to the movie to the end. When
So you're
Anakin
saying Anakin's only in it for what, 23 minutes?
23 minutes and 30
And
seconds.
20
That sounds like absolutely nothing.
It's
That's
not
what
a
I'm
very
saying.
long movie.
People were complaining 10 minutes of like the thing I mentioned earlier, guys. And I was like, that is actually quite all right because you saw them quite a bit though in number 1. Like you remember them vividly. Padme. That's only 20 minutes and you remember them. It's so good. So it's
Padme's screen time also diminishes across from here. She goes down very quickly.
But then Clone Wars
okay.
ends up own
Yes,
arc.
yeah. Okay. Does Obi-Wan or Padme have more screen time?
Who's first?
Yeah, actually, this is gonna be true.
Whoever says first.
I feel like
It
it's
is-
gonna be Padme, but
Yeah. I feel
gonna
like
go
it could
Padme.
be. I feel like it could be as well, but I'm gonna go with Obi-Wan.
he didn't much. Yeah.
What did you say, Jack?
Okay, wait. My reasoning for Padme because Obi-Wan was not at the pod racing bit. He was chilling on the ship. Like so he was off screen for a long time. So I'm
Yeah.
not Padme.
I was thinking that as well, but I already said Obi-Wan, so I'm going with him.
This is one of the close ones. Point to Jack.
Ooh.
Padme is in it for 15 more seconds than Obi-Wan Kenobi,
Okay. Well,
and yet is after Ewan McGregor in the billing. Fun. Okay, who is in the film? Who's in the film more, Darth Maul or R2D2?
R2.
Okay, well done. You both get a point.
Yes.
like Mole was in it for like 5 minutes, probably.
He was in
Yeah.
it for 6 minutes. R2
Ooh,
was in it
close.
for 7.5 minutes. Who has more screen time, C3PO or Mace Windu?
C3. That's gonna be close though, because they both weren't in it for like at all.
I think I'm also going to say C3PO.
No points to anyone. Mace Windu, 2 minutes and 15 seconds. C3PO, 2 minutes flat.
Oh,
Both tied at 2. Both tied at 2. Who has more screen time? Sheev Palpatine or Newt Gunray?
Newt.
Newt Gunray.
No points given again.
What?
Palpatine, 7 minutes 15 seconds. Newt Gunray, 6 minutes.
That is. I'm actually baffled by that one. I'm bamboozled. There's no way.
I feel like this one might get you.
There's mainly that bit at the start with Palpatine, and
Yeah.
then the bit where he's on the hologram. That's about it, isn't it? And the
And then
end
at
for
the end
like
where he's
30
like-
seconds.
Where he's
So
like
remember-
patting Anakin or whatever. You know.
Yeah, but he's also in it. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Who has more screen? Actually, I might finish with that one.
What
Who
was
has
the
more
final?
screen time?
Yeah.
Boss Nasa or Mace Windu?
Mace Windu.
Boss NASA.
Point to Jack.
Ah!
Boss Nasa, 3
No.
minutes. Mace Windu, 2 minutes 15. Jack's
How
winning.
long is Boss
on.
Nuts in it?
3 minutes.
Oh, I thought you said 10. I was so confused.
No, no way.
Boss was in it
Who-
for. I thought he was in it for at least 5, to be honest.
No.
He showed up in that.
He's
bit.
in the very last scene and he's holding up the big energy
And
ball.
at the
Oh,
start.
yeah.
And the
No,
start.
that's at the end. That's at the end.
Yeah, but he's also in it at the start, obviously, with the underwater city. And
Yeah,
then they
yeah,
come
yeah.
back to
Yeah.
him and talk to him before the fight, and then at the end,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was 5 minutes, but yeah.
No. Who's in the film more? Watto or Yoda?
Watto.
What did you say, Jack?
Watto.
All right, point to both of you. Watto is
Yeah.
in it for 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Yoda, 3.5 minutes.
Barely any Jedi apart from the main ones were in it.
So I think Jack's winning 4-3. Last one.
Oof.
Who is in the film more? Who has more screen time? Jabba the Hutt or Kiadi Mundi?
Oh, this is gonna be a Jabba.
Kiadi.
Point to Mark.
Yeah!
Oh.
It's even! It's a tie.
I don't have any more. Oh my
What's the
goodness.
time though? What was the time?
Kiadi Mundi, minute 15. Jabba the Hutt, 30 seconds.
What? Only 30
Was he
seconds?
only in it for?
The pod racing,
One
wasn't it?
scene. Yep.
I thought it was. He showed up after the pod racing too.
No.
I thought it was around
No.
a minute, but
His name's mentioned quite a bit, but he's not in it very much.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right, let's get into some questions. And I don't know if this is going to bring any discussion, but I want to do it anyway. Who, in your opinion, is the main character of this movie?
I've
Mark, do you want to
always
start?
thought about it as being Anakin, mainly because of his importance.
I agree.
Okay, so the billing says otherwise. Liam Neeson, and also the runtime. Liam Neeson's Qui-Gon Jinn is the most prominent character.
Mm.
He's also the first listed. But I would also say it is Anakin is the primary character in this movie.
I think if you're going off time, then obviously it'd have to be Liam. But
Yeah.
I think for the overall story, well, obviously the whole saga should be about Anakin. That's all I'm saying. So, but at least 1 to 6 are, I think, all about that. But I think almost the Emperor. I mean, Sheev could be.
Yeah, I was going to say the whole movie is called The Phantom Menace after
It's
all.
him, and he's the one that's kind of twisting it already. Like he's turning the knob now, kind of thing. So it's those three definitely though, main ones.
Yep.
Those.
Definitely. All right, next question. Are midichlorians legit?
No.
No.
Apart from this movie, really, he didn't want to go with it, through with it.
Yeah, I would say no. I mean, the fact it's in the movie means it's canon, but it's like not really.
I don't
Yeah.
like it. I don't think
I don't like them either, but
everyone has some midichlorians. It's just some have more than others. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Especially like how everyone has the force, but some has it stronger than. I don't like that. You either have the
The
force or
force
you don't have it.
binds us, penetrates us, and joins the galaxy together. Am I
We need to get
wrong?
you to do more impressions.
Yeah, that
You did
wasn't
a
the
great. You
best
did a
one.
great Admiral Yularen last week.
Admiral Yularen, yeah, it was
Yeah.
okay.
I thought it was pretty good.
Thank you.
All right, next question. Puppet or CGI Yoda?
So easy. I gotta
Yeah.
go for this. I want to hear you guys first though.
Puppet.
CGI.
CGI.
What?
Nah.
Puppet Yoda looks like an old grandpa who
Yeah.
Yeah,
was
exactly.
out in the sun for a bit too long.
Another reason why I'm not a big fan of Grogu. How he jumps around. Because
Nah, I much
goofy.
prefer the puppet. Honestly, I
Nah,
much
CGI.
prefer it.
CGI in Revenge of the Sith Yoda looks so
I
perfect.
think
CGI
for
shows more
the
emotion as well.
originals, it works a lot better because he's
Yep.
old and immobile.
I agree.
That's the only thing about CGI that's better is they can really like make him really jump around and
That's what I'm
everything.
saying.
I'll
Yep.
admit that is better in that respect, but I like the look of the puppet better.
Yep, I agree.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, next question. Where am I going? Okay. This will be my last question, but I do have one more thing afterwards. Jar Jar Binks, genius or dumb luck?
Jack,
Genius.
you've got him as your background. You got to go first.
Genius.
Genius? Are you kidding me?
Not,
Nah, he's dumb. Whatever you said.
not Sith Lord, but genius. He's messing with everyone.
Respect,
Is
Mark.
it all an act, Jack? Is it all an act?
Not to be a Sith Lord, but I reckon he is putting it on to get attention. He's an attention-seeking person.
Mark, what do
He's
you
an
reckon?
attention-seeking person, but I don't think he's doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
He's a dumb, whatever you said.
He is a dumb. I it's hard to know, to be completely honest. We'll never know.
That's a no.
At face value, it's pretty much dumb luck, but looking into those yellow, creepy eyes, there's something about him.
Sith Lord eyes.
There's something about him. He knows what he's up to, man.
He's a bit sinister. He's a bit more sinister than he leads on, isn't he?
Yeah.
Look at those Sith eyes.
Yeah, I'm creeped out of it. Okay, no, too close. No. All right, my
Poking his eye
last. No, that's okay. All right, Jack.
What? He's got some goobers in there.
out.
All right, my last thing for you guys tonight, and this is. I'm gonna start with Jack because I feel like you might be able to
Did
do
you
this
find
one
any
better.
gold, Jack? You digging for gold?
I wish.
Okay, Jack.
Yeah.
Can you explain the plot of this movie in 10 words or less?
Oh, so meme, in other words.
What?
I've got to think about this for
So
me.
I'm gonna do it as a meme.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I'm gonna have to have my fingers for this one.
That's
A
not words. Yeah.
young boy gets taken
Halfway there.
and eventually will become
Come on, you're almost
evil.
there.
Vader.
Evil.
There you go.
She
Well
said
done.
Vader.
But
That's
that's like Anakin's plot, not the plot of the movie.
Yeah,
But
that is the plot of the movie.
I commend you for
A
doing
young
that
boy gets
very well.
taken.
And eventually becomes evil.
Yeah, well, that's predicting. But the plot is
Okay.
a young boy gets taken from his
Okay,
home.
all right, fair
There we
enough. Well done,
Yep.
Mark. Do you want to have a crack?
Yes.
Okay, go.
Palpatine is behind it all. The Jedi are all blind.
That's
You
great.
prepared this.
That was so good,
I
Mark.
had to think of it on the spot.
What yours,
So
Cooper?
good. Oh, I haven't thought about it.
Yeah, we haven't either.
Yeah, we didn't.
Okay, fine. Let me see. Anakin, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Padme. Go find ship parts
On
in
set.
desert.
There's it. You
Okay,
missed a
Mark
bit.
wins. Mark wins.
Yeah, Mark.
Yeah.
That was,
Cooper's last, in my opinion. Bias.
oh, what?
Cooper's
Hang on.
last.
You
Cooper's
gave the
last.
whole. You gave Anakin's story, not
Ship
the plot of the
parts?
movie.
Ship parts? What is this?
Ship parts. That's what they do. They go search for ship parts.
At least talk about politics.
That's a part of it. That's not the
You talk
plot.
about politics.
Cooper's attacked.
Anakin gets taken.
He gets taken. Anakin
Darth
gets
not
taken.
political.
Maul is
If anything,
hiding
ship
in the
part is more political
shadows
because it's training.
because of Palpatine. That's another 10.
Oh
I,
my
I think
God.
that just about wraps it up.
Yeah, I'm done.
Did you hear my other 10?
No,
Nope.
go.
Darth Maul is in the shadows because of Darth Sidious.
That's not the plot.
I liked your first one better.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with it a lot better. I just like coming up with it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. That'll wrap us up. Thanks for
Yeah.
tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
See you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.